So welcome here to 250 million years ago, and right here we're standing on supercontinent Pangaea. And actually right now we're having wet feet, and somebody disturbing us. So we're having wet feet, and that has to do with that we're standing in the middle of a shallow sea here. It could have looked something like this. Probably not 100% accurate because this is from a movie called Interstellar, but it gives you an idea what a shallow sea could be experienced as. Over the years the sea levels fluctuated, and when the sea levels were really low, a lot of water could evaporate from the sea, and that resulted in high concentrations of calcium and sulfate in the water. These two would then bind together and deposit on the seafloor as gypsum rock. Together with gypsum, also dolomite, fine-grained sandstone and siltstone were formed over the years. In the 45 million years that this was going on, a layer of 1,500 foot was deposited. That is more than 250 people on top of each other, to give you an idea. Million years ago, and it took us quite some time to get here, right? We arrived here just in time to witness the next geological happening. What we're seeing happening right now is that there's two plates pushing into each other, and because of that, one ducks underneath the other. The first thing because of that happening is that the Rocky Mountains are being born. Later on, the direction of those plates change a little bit, and instead of mountains starting to appear, the whole land is being uplifted. And right here, we're rising from about sea level to about 15,000 feet in height. This is what it looks like if you make a simplified image of it. So the top one you're seeing is the mountains being pushed up, and the second one is an image of how the land is being uplifted. Okay, 30 million years ago, and only 40 steps back we saw two plates pushing into each other. Now all of a sudden the opposite is happening. There's a force pulling that way on this one plate, and there's a force pulling that way. And that results in cracks that are leading north-south. And as these cracks become thicker and heavier, as all of a sudden we hear a loud crack, and the land in between these cracks gives way. And all of a sudden we drop down a few feet here. This is what it looks like in an image. This is how basins are being formed over the years. Yes, you are. Very good. We have a professional here.
The lower area is all this.
Yeah, so we're now standing in a basin, and over there our view is blocked by the San Andres Mountains, and over there our view is blocked by the Sacramento Mountains. Looking south, we have really nothing in between us. And looking north, there's also not much there. And who has any idea of what is going on right now? Ice Age, very good. And actually, to be more specific, we're at the end of the Ice Age here. And again, we're having wet feet. However, now we're not standing in a sea, but we're standing in a lake. The lake is called Lake Otero, and the mountains around us actually are covered in ice and snow still. The gypsum that was once on the seafloor is now up high in those mountains. And that gypsum dissolves in the water and is running down the mountain. And since we're here standing in the middle of a big wash tub, the water cannot go anywhere. Everything that washes into Lake Otero is here to stay. Except for water, of course, since it has the ability to evaporate. Because there is more water out here, we will also see that there is more plant life out here. And because there's more plant life out here, we see more animals. And actually, if we would look at the edge of the lake right now, we could see mammoths, ground sloths and ancient camels moving around and drinking their fill on the water. Of course, these big game animals also attract another species. Do you have an idea what species I'm looking for? Nobody?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Humans. Yes, very good. And if we would pay attention to them, you might see them hiding in the tall grass, waiting with their spears to jump out and kill one of those beautiful mammoths. This is what it could have looked like in that time. These people don't have a specific place that they call home. They travel around to find the best resources and hunting grounds for each time of the year. Everybody seen it? So as we're going to move forward in time, we're going to find out what happens when the Ice Age also becomes a part of history. "10,000 years ago, and we forwarded 2,000 years to get here. And we might notice straight away that we're not standing in the middle of Lake Otero anymore. We're actually now standing at the edge of the lake. And if we look around, we see some weird stuff sticking out of the old lake bed. They're crystals, and this is what it looks like.
Selenite?
Yes. So, you might ask, how did these crystals get here? So do you remember the gypsum that washed out of the mountains into Lake Otero? Do you also still remember what was special about Lake Otero?
It's like a bathtub.
No outlet in a bathtub. Very good, yes. So since we're now at the edge of the lake, can we tell what happened to the water? Evaporated, yes. So since gypsum is unable to evaporate, it stays behind in the lake. And at some point this concentration of gypsum becomes so high that it starts to form crystals. You can compare this to when you take a pan of water out of the ocean and put it over a fire and boil it all the way down. What you find in the bottom is the salt that was dissolved in the water. Influences like heat, freezing, and wind make that those crystals break into smaller pieces, until the pieces are so small that a heavy wind can move them. And then the wind breaks the gypsum even further down into the size of sand grains. Then a sand grain is being picked up by the wind and keeps moving and moving until it meets an obstacle. Then a second grain of sand is picked up by that wind and stops at the very same spot, until more and more of those grains of sand stop at the very one spot. And that is how the dunes are being born. The first dunes start to appear close to old Lake Otero, and the once big lake is now shrunken down to the size of Lake Lucero. Notice straight away is that we don't see any large wildlife out here anymore. The lack of food and water, together with the human hunting skills, has resulted in the disappearance of these majestic animals. Because of that, the people also have to change their way of living. We will see them now hunting smaller animals, and also vegetable foods become a bigger part of their diet. They're still, however, living a nomadic lifestyle to find the best resources. And this is what their travels looked like, or could have looked like. We weren't there, right? The traveling brings them in contact with other groups, and each of those groups have their own resources. And trading their goods brings more diversity to their lives. As time goes by, these people develop and they travel less and less. And their housing becomes more permanent. Villages start to appear. Of course, not here in the middle of the dune field, but where would you think that you would set up your house if you have the choice? Near a river, very good, yes. So let's go find out where they exactly will live.